The Colossus Mini ITX and MATX borrow from a couple of other popular Bitfenix products. First, they borrow their style from Bitfenix's very first case, the Colossus, and second, they borrow their interior design from the Prodigy and the Prodigy M. The Cooler Master Glacier 240L CPU cooler delivers the convenience of an all-in-one and the performance of a custom water cooler. Click now to learn more. You'll be used to this form factor if you've ever used a Prodigy, but of course it does, like I said, borrow from the Colossus in terms of the styling. So it has a bit of an upward angled shape to the top cover here, and then it has a bit of an angular helmet-like shape to the front that gives it a more aggressive look than something like the Prodigy. Ventilation is handled through just these vents on the top for the front, giving access to fresh air to the 5¼ inch drive bay that has been turned into ventilation, as well as the 140mm sized vent in the front. So the airflow is not going to be exceptional compared to some versions of this type of case that have larger vents, but it should be adequate for what most people will install in an MATX or Mini ITX system. Also on the front, we find a piece of plastic as well as a Bitfenix logo. More on the piece of plastic in just a moment. On the right-hand side, we do not find that same nice soft touch finish that's on the top and the front, but just a more standard painted steel finish. 2 USB 3.0 ports, microphone, headphone jack, reset, and power switches. Then on the left-hand side, we find not a whole lot of anything. On the top, not only that soft touch finish that I talked about before, but also a dual 120mm fan mount with a removable filtered mesh right there. On the bottom, we find another removable fan filter, this one for the power supply, so you can just pop that out the back if you want to go ahead and clean it. And then finally on the back, we find a 120 or 140mm fan mount, 2 expansion slots, and then a removable plate for the power supply that allows you to take that out and slide it back in. Now, there are 2 interior layouts for this case. The one we're going to be talking about mostly in this video is the Mini ITX layout. That is the one that is based on the original Prodigy, but we actually did a build guide not that long ago in the MATX version of the Phenom. So that'll have the same layout as an MATX version of this case would have. Now, before we move to the inside of the case, let's go ahead and show you what's so special about this little plastic. Oh, what did he just do? The little plastic strip has what Bitfenix is calling light track technology, and it's an unbroken line of light that wraps around 3 sides of the case. It allows you to change the colors completely, anything from blue to red to green, and you can even add pulsating effects to give it a bit of a breathing effect in the dark. Or if you don't like any of that, you can just turn it off. Now, because we have 2 of these cases, we were in a pretty unique position where we can show you one that has nothing installed in it and another one that's been decked out and has a pretty high-end gaming system installed. So first of all, I take off the side panel, and this gives us some insight into how that whole lighting effect thing works. The ones on the side panels don't actually need to be plugged in independently. They just have like little looks like fiber optic tubes that are, carrying the light around the case and then delivering them, here you go, to these pieces like this, just like that. So the whole thing illuminates. Very cool, actually. Then, taking off both side panels, we can see that I actually removed the 5¼ inch expansion bay in order to get an H100i in there. I also have removed some of the 3½ inch expansion bays, of which you can normally have a maximum of 5, but in this case, we're down to 2 down here on the bottom, so there's an additional cage there that can be installed. This gave us the ability to install a long graphics card, such as the Radeon HD 7970 that we have installed in here right now. So that's how we get that dual 120mm rad in the front, which means we don't have to worry necessarily as much about airflow in the case overall, because our CPU at least will be able to exhaust its heat directly out without affecting the rest of the interior components. Although I do wish that the side panel where the graphics card is located would have some perforations for airflow to come in as well. You can install up to a 230mm fan in the front, although the only ventilation holes in the front are going to be about 140mm. You can install up to that 140mm fan I talked about before in the back. It's got a toolless drive mounting system. You go ahead and pop those cages out, install your drives into them. It's toolless for 3.5 inch, so you just kind of flex them like this and then put the drive in, or it is tooled for 2.5 inch, which is what we were actually using for this particular little rig. It's also toolless at the back. For your PCI Express expansion, you go ahead and pop this guy out, they're all thumb screws. Go ahead, put a graphics card in, and you're pretty much ready to rock. And then as I mentioned before, if you want to see a version of the MATX system that we did a very high-end air-cooled configuration in, you should definitely check out that build guide. And I've got a bit of a teaser for this video for those of you who stuck around till the very end. This Mini ITX version, with its fewer PCI expansion slots but improved liquid cooling support and more overall space inside compared to the MATX one once you cram a larger motherboard in there, might be featured in an upcoming water-cooled build guide for the Colossus Mini ITX. Ooh, exciting. Anyway, guys, thank you for checking out this video. Like it if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it. Leave a comment and let me know what you thought. Are you looking forward to the water-cooled Colossus Mini ITX build guide? Ooh, I actually have something I can show you guys that might get you a little bit more amped up about it. This box just arrived from Bitfenix the other day, and instead of doing my typical sort of, you could spin it a number of different ways. You could call it flexible or you could call it lazy, but my typical approach of just doing straight fittings, yes, I will be using their blood red fittings. I'll be using 45-degree angles and stuff like that, going for really nice clean tubing runs this time around. So it's going to be a very different liquid-cooled build guide from before. So all the fittings. And right, I think that's pretty much it. Don't forget to subscribe, and guys, check out the support link under the video below. We have t-shirts now. You can contribute directly to us. You can reset your Amazon bookmark in your browser to include our affiliate code, and all kinds of good stuff that you can do to help us if you enjoy our videos and make it so we can keep on making them.